So, Nike Air Zoom Pegasus 38. Coming out, it's released to Nike members. I believe worldwide releases April 29th. So, I did not run in the Nike Air Zoom Pegasus 37. I just didn't pick it up. I was looking at the Brooks Ghost 12 at the time, and then went completely different direction with two other shoes, which I can show you. I actually will compare this shoe to those shoes a little bit later after I do a first run in this one later today. So let's get this guy open. From what I understand, the only thing that has changed on this shoe would be the upper. It's a little bit more plush, adds a little bit more weight, but stack height should be the same. So that would be 27.5 in the heel, I think, and 17.5 millimeters in the forefoot for a 10 millimeter drop. I believe the size 10 in the 37 last year was 9.5 ounces. So this year, with a little bit extra weight, you're probably looking at more like 9.7, 9.8. I think it should still be under 10 ounces, which for some might be a little too heavy for a daily trainer. But for other people, I think it's probably kind of right in the in a sweet spot in between 9.5 and 10 ounces. So let's see what this thing looks like here. All right. So, all right. All right. So the first thing I can tell you is the upper is definitely more plush than the 37 for sure. When I went and tried that shoe on, I felt like it was kind of flimsy, real thin. Certainly the tongue is way better. This is much more padded than the tongue in the 37. Laces seem like they're about the same, but I know that other people have pointed out as well that the lacing here on the 38, the lockdown is way better than on the 37, which it looks like it is to me as well. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, midsole, outsole look pretty much the same. The last Pegasus that I ran in was the Pegasus 30, I think. I thought about doing the 37 and just didn't. But yeah, so the 30 was from, let's see, 2013, and that was a heavy shoe. It's like 10.5 to 11 ounces, and it felt heavy and awkward. It was not very fun to run in, and so I had just kind of given up on Pegasus a little bit at that time. I checked them out, obviously, since then, but just never ran in any of them. So yeah, my first impressions on this is that the upper has definitely changed for the better. It seems like it's going to fit much nicer. Let's see if I can get a shot kind of down in there. So this is a 9.5. Yeah, I mean, the fit on this should feel much better, more plush than the 37 was. Flat laces, which sometimes cause issues for me, I feel like. One of the shoes that I'll compare this to is the Asics Novablast, and I have had a terrible time with laces on that shoe. The laces that came with it were flat laces like this, and they were not great. And I changed them out, I think, twice for different laces, and ended up with some thicker round laces that felt way better. So that's something I'll be looking at on this shoe for sure. But yeah, I mean, like I said, tongue is good. Heel seems pretty plush. I don't typically have too many issues, although the Novablast, I did have an issue with some Achilles rubbing on that in the beginning. I think it was probably the lockdown with the laces that I was having issues with, even with a runner's knot, all that. I still, only on one, on my left Achilles, it kind of rubbed and I got a blister, which never happens. So that's something that I'll look at on this shoe as well. It seems pretty firm, for sure, but we'll see. I know that Zoom bag in the front, kind of gives you a little pop up there. Obviously, you can see here, pretty decent stack height in the heel. Not quite as much as the Novablast, but yeah. So this is kind of my first impression. I mean, it looks like it's gonna be pretty fun to run in. Should be pretty plush. So we'll see. I'll take it out a little bit later and then come back and give you my first impression on that, and I compare it to the two other daily trainers that I have right now, the Reebok Forever Floatride 2 Energy 2 and the Asics Novablast, and kind of see how these three stack up against each other. So yeah, I'm looking forward to running in it and getting back into Pegasus. My very first one, I think, was the Pegasus 10. Maybe that was like my first dedicated running shoe. So I have been a fan of the Pegasus line for a long time. So hopefully this one is good. All right, so I am back for my run. Just a little over 4 miles, 31:17, so a pace of 7:43. Nothing too crazy. I pushed it just a little bit at the end. I think the last mile, my pace was maybe 7:39, something like that. So how did the Nike Zoom Air Pegasus 38 perform? Very first run, granted, very short. Not 10 miles, 15, 20 miles. The very first word that came to mind for me running in this was bounce. It's pretty bouncy, but I think that's a good thing, for me at least. I really felt underfoot that it's not soft, it's not cloud-like, I would say. There is a firmness there that helps you kind of like rebound in this shoe, and it's probably the airbag in the forefoot. Obviously, I did not run in the 37, so I wasn't quite sure how this setup was going to perform. But on the very first run, super pleased with it. The upper, I did have one issue with the right shoe that I had to. I probably should have done a runner's knot to start with, but I just moved the lace down to this hole, and I could cinch it a little bit tighter. And that seemed to help. I had just a tiny little bit of heel slippage on my right foot starting out. The left foot was fine. Lockdown was good. But I might try to do runner's loop on both of these just to see the difference. But yeah, no issues with the fit. All that was great. Held up fine. The other thing that I did notice also on the right foot, and it could have been trying to get the fit or the lockdown kind of dialed in, was I had a little bit of a hot spot kind of under the ball of my foot, just briefly, and it was gone by the time I got back from my run. No lingering effects either. So, I mean, that's probably just breaking in new shoes as well. But it's something that I'll pay attention to, kind of keep an eye on while I'm running. Funny enough, so comparing the 38 to these are the two kind of daily trainers that I've put the most miles in over the last 6-9 months, something like that, 12 months maybe. Asics Novablast, Reebok Floatride Forever Energy 2. So this, I've put in a lot of miles in the Novablast. This Pegasus 38 feels similar to this Novablast, but with a much better upper, and because the stack height is lower, it feels more stable to me. This shoe, the ambient sounds of sitting outside, the Novablast I love, but the stack height, the high stack height, it can feel just a little unstable at times. And this shoe, surprisingly, even though the stack heights are higher, I think this is 29 in the heel and 19 in the forefoot, I want to say. And so this is just slightly a lower ride, but maybe it's because this weighs a little bit less. This actually feels to me a little bit lower to the ground than this does. And it gives me kind of a feel that I can go push the pace just a little bit faster in this. These two would be very similar to me in kind of pacing. You could throw in some quicker pacing here and there, but you're not going to run intervals in this. Trying to think, you're not taking it to the track for speed work, anything like that. I could have one good sign for me in this is that my calves were killing me. I had run in a 5K race over the weekend in one of these. I probably don't see these around anymore. Old school Nike Lunar Racer 1, circa 2010, I want to say. And it's been in my closet forever. Has almost no miles. I mean, you can see the outsole, is almost pristine. It's just kind of dirty. But I don't know. I couldn't bear to throw it away over the years. It's moved with me a couple times. And so I just dug it out of the closet and wanted to race in it, and was regretting that decision a bit on Sunday morning. So I had only planned, a somewhat shorter run, not knowing how my calves were going to feel today, and time-wise, schedule-wise, but I could have easily run another couple miles in this and felt fine. So that, I mean, to me, that was a good sign. I didn't feel beat up or anything. It was a great shoe. So $120 for the Nike Zoom Air Pegasus 38. I think it's worth it because what I'm gonna do is when this shoe is finally retired, this is gonna become kind of my daily trainer workhorse, And then I also have this shoe, the Reebok, if I want to, go out for decently long runs, but also kind of be able to throw some kind of shorter, quicker jaunts in the middle of these, kind of have a workout in the middle of the run. And then I got to pick up something to replace my my Lunar Racer with for for speed work because I've done it a little bit in this and it's okay. And I've done it some in the Lunar Racer, and interval workout is fine in that, but I think it's over time it would just beat me up too much. So I gotta find something to replace that with. But yeah, certainly I would check out the Pegasus 38 for a daily trainer. I know it weighs more than both of these shoes, but it doesn't really feel like that on foot. Like I said, it feels very similar to this Novablast, but just with a more plush upper, and it's not quite as unstable. I hope that whenever the Novablast 2 comes out, it would kind of replicate this upper on this shoe. I still have issues with lockdown on this shoe. You can see where I've worn out back here in the heel on this shoe, and I struggle, even running day after day in it to get the proper lockdown on it. So I've tried all kinds of things on it. I don't think sizing would help because it feels pretty good in the toe box there. I don't think sizing down half a size would help, but I don't know, maybe it would. But I'm definitely gonna replace this Novablast with this Pegasus 38. So yeah, I would certainly check it out. If you ran in the 37 and you didn't like the upper, which I know quite a few people who had that experience, it's been fixed, I would say, and I would check it out again and see if you get a better fit from it. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and I'll answer them the best I can. Thanks for watching.